Ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the Front Door Show brought to you by Four Fantastic Events, DJ Prieto. And today we have part two of the show with DJ Boogieman, Martin Luna. So we've gone through this once before with Martin Boogieman. He told us some interesting stories, great stories that you guys that you had history. So one of the things that I am really interested in is I think a lot of people want to know is that because kind of we all kind of knew prime and tender is what you was your hallmark per se, and I think that had a lot to do with the fact that wherever you went, we always caught you back there in the sense. So what was the time frame after your prime and tender? Where did you end up going?
Well, Prime and Tender, and hi everybody. Thanks for coming back for part two. First of all, thank you, Angelo, for having me back. I hope you got the $10 in the mail.
$10? It was $9, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the
all right.
tip.
You're gonna hold me to that. All right. Okay. So here's what happens. Prime and Tender. Once again, in case everybody doesn't know, that was my big catapult, the big step to the big leagues. Thanks to all the promoters before that for the hall parties and everything else included for hiring me everywhere from, north side, south side, suburbs, Indiana. But Prime and Tender was the boom, And I was there, started off in 1985. 85 to 1993. And that's when I left in 93 and I just went out elsewhere. You know what I mean? So yeah, Prime and Tender, it was 85 to 93. Any other questions?
Because you were iconically known also on Rush Street as well. I mean, that was one of the big places, in particular Eddie Rockets. I remember you were definitely known for Eddie Rockets in the sense of that Wednesday nights. That was the big night for you, Wednesday nights, and I just remember that because
you got a good memory. That's a real good memory.
And I was there all the time, so
thanks a lot. You were able to climb. You were able to climb those long stairs and then get down the stairs afterwards, all in one piece.
Yeah, quickly. You know what? And the amazing thing, I never fell down those stairs. I mean, I've seen so many people fall down those stairs, but I never. And I just remember that Wednesday night, and the only reason why I'm saying Wednesday because it was an off night. It wasn't a Friday or Saturday. It was the Wednesday night that everybody kind of knew per se. That was where, I would say I would run into a baseball player, a football player, or there was somebody always there, on the Wednesday and the balcony level where your DJ booth was at.
In case everybody doesn't know, it was really a pretty unique place. You had 2 levels, which felt like 3. But yeah, it was really, really cool there. And I guess,
and I just remembered Pippen being there all the time. Different basketball players and different, it was kind of that who's who on a Wednesday night. That was the place to be and stuff like that.
Well, honestly, I didn't pay attention much to them. I was actually looking for the girls. I'm being serious, man. It's like, and there's 2 reasons. Of course, young gentlemen like me like the women, but it was always important to us too, because without women in the club, you probably weren't going to DJ much long at that place. And that's because that's how math worked. The club owners, if you didn't bring the girls in, you weren't going to be there long, because
but I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember you used to have the bikini contest there as well. That was a big thing. I remember that was like you never see that in other clubs. It was always there on Wednesday, man. That was Tropicana bikini contest over there.
Yeah, well, the bikini contest was big. You had the legs contest in the winter too, or probably, summer and winter. And they even messed up sometimes and had a what was it called? A butt contest or something for guys and the girls to perform in. You know, they thought they were doing like Chippendales back then. They were trying to click off from the Chippendales thing before Magic Mike came out,
Oh, Jesus.
right?
Right, okay, all right. And then the other place that we kind of all remember was Flamingos. You remember you at Flamingos? That was a unique place itself as
Yeah,
well.
well, I'll tell you, it was actually, you know what, everybody, I'm sorry if I'm a little deterred over here. Last time I didn't get a chance to share this with my pages. So I'm telling you straight up live, I'm putting these on my pages and my groups so
Okay.
that they don't miss the show this time. I think you'll appreciate that, right, Angelo?
Love it, love it.
Yeah, so you know, plus we weren't supposed to go out till 9 o'clock. Angelo got really anxious and he called me early. Like, hey, will you please go on right now? I really want to talk to you. So here I am. um, and hey, share this with your friends if you're out there. You know, I might actually have something interesting to say. You know, like I say to everybody, stay in the mix, and we're in the mix right now. Hey, you can see we can hear me backwards here, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, see, this is live. So, talking about Flamingo, check this out. You had me going nostalgia. You had me going
Whoa.
nostalgia here.
Oh my God.
They used to give us shirts back then.
Wow.
And see, you guys, that address there, that's really stitched too. That's why it's lasted this long. And cool guys like me, we didn't have a problem wearing pink because you couldn't tell us nothing. And plus that movie, the movie was out with Club Flamingo, with Kid Flamingo. Remember who played that part? Ralph Macchio or somebody?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But that was 440 North Halsted and Hubbard. After that, it turned into, it was really cool, man, how this happens. After I DJ'd there, it closes down, and then they end up opening it up as Stardust. And then they called me back there to be that resident DJ. And I was Stardust's resident DJ. And, Giorgio and Mark Clemens asked me to spin there. And, Tom, in the background, he was silent owner. And did I mess that up? But and then after that, they had a little change up again. It turned into another club, the Gold Club or something, and that didn't work out. And right after that, it went into Red No 5 and Fifth Floor, right? Yeah,
Was it
Fifth
fifth
Floor.
floor? Okay.
Yeah. But Red No 5 was the main name that took over. But don't be fooled, at Flamingo, you had 2 levels. And it was a multi-club. And then Stardust, it was also the lower level. It was called One Way. And that's where they used
One
to
way.
do like cutting edge parties, One Way. And I got to tell you, I give props where it deserved, as you know. And I bring up One Way. And the cool thing about One Way is that their promotion, the first promotion they did was a ticket. It looked like a Chicago parking ticket. It was orange and everything. They replicated a parking ticket. So they put it on all the cars at the clubs. So people would look at it like, oh, what the hell? I got a ticket. And then you look at like One Way party at, Stardust downstairs, It was pretty cool.
Right.
I just had to say that.
I
thought that was
stole the ideal. Honestly, I stole that. I did a Latin party the same way.
well, good. Hey, you're a man, and you say what you have to say out there. You got to give props when it's due. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
dude.
I'm sorry if hey, once again, if you ever meet me in person, anybody out there, I think you already know if you met me or if you come to meet me, I'll veer off into different stories because I have a lot of stories to tell. It's like a lot of people say in my family, I'm that guy with the memory. I have a sharp memory in most cases. And then on the other side of it, I'm probably going to be the grandfather that everybody wants to like be around with. And then they said, oh, here he goes again. But there you go. Not that I'm anywhere near grandfather age. Right? Alexandra, my daughter, right? Alexandra, my daughter.
And hey, trust me, I'm a grandfather and I love it. So it's all good. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Okay. Yeah. So so I'm sorry if I threw it off. Prime Attender, 1985, and that went all the way to 93. And in 93, I handed my baton over. Before that, I used to hand my baton over in between too, because um, I would always have it planned that I left an open door. I never left the clubs in a bad way. Like, say, for instance, Prime Tender, when I got the offer from Club Flamingo, which was double pay that I was getting then. I think back then I was getting $75 a night for an 800 capacity club. Okay, packed. Okay, 75 bucks. Now, once again, everybody back then was getting 35.50, and it moved up and up. Because when I first started at Prime Tender, I was 35 a night. Um, so, so from there, I would ask DJs that were close friends of mine, mixed masters in a way, team members, or really good friends of mine. Hey, you want the night? Because I'm going over there. And
Right.
that's how I was able to come back in all the time. And also because I always didn't brag about why I was going to the owner, I would say, hey, um, I'd be like, hey, Nick, they're offering me 150 a night. Um, I'm gonna just say, if you can match it, I'm not asking you to beat it. I'll stay if you can match it. And he didn't believe it. That's what happened, which is okay because not too many people got paid that amount that back
Right.
in
Right.
that back day. So next thing you know, I bring a check stub back because they actually paid you in check.
Right.
And believe it or not, yes, everybody, I was too young to DJ at these clubs back then. I think I was 18 at that time.
Mhm.
And I used one of my cousin's IDs that looked close to me. So I was getting paid under a different identity. And it's past statutory law, so I'm safe right now.
Yeah.
And he did pay his taxes anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's
and then I remember I was so proud when my birthday came. I went to the back office with Tom and them, and I'm like, "Hey guys, I gotta admit something." And let me get backwards real quick. Once again, like a Tarantino movie, right? Moving the scene backwards 5 years. Well, uh, everybody knew me more by my nickname Boogieman. So by that, I got away with not ever using my first name too much, last name either. So when it came down to that day though, and I turned 21, I went to the office. I said, hey guys, can you do me a favor? This is my ID and this is my real name. So next thing you know, they looked at me and they kind of laughed it off. They're like, wow, really? And that's where I was legally inducted into the club scene, was at Flamingo at
oh
440
wow.
North Halstead. Yeah.
So I just got my alert. That's why we froze for a little bit there. The alerts on the phones and stuff like that.
Remember, this is
Uh,
live, everybody. This is live.
so I mean, that's why I remember the Flamingos, and you were Flamingos, Eddie Rockets, and DJ
The
International Records.
Flamingo. Why does everybody always throw the S's on the end there? You
You mean like
S's.
720s?
Hey, yes, sir. Yeah, like it's like, come on, Prime Tenders. No, look, it said Prime Tender with an R at the end. It wasn't Prime Tenders, you know?
Because we're Latino. That's what we do.
No, it isn't, man. And this guy, come on, give us more credit than that on the Latin side of life. No,
So so
no.
so you were doing also DJ International Records at that time as well, correct?
Yes, I was. Hey, you remember last time I was telling you Benji was underpaying me when at
Yeah.
Quantum? Remember that?
Yeah.
Working at
Yep.
Quantum Distributors. I know
Right,
I
right.
forget there's a little delay here. So I found one of my old check stubs.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I collect a lot of stuff, even a lot of love letters from the girls. So be nice to me. I might publish it. Um, so back then I said, if you look at the other one, I said 435 an hour, and it was actually 465 an hour back then. See, everybody's complaining about their pay. Look at that. 465 an hour. You're getting like $12 a work at McDonald's. Come on. Anyways, so yeah, back then I was working there. I was working at DJ, which was actually Quantum was paying me. I was getting paid through Quantum, but I
Okay.
had the DJ thing, and I was a little prepared for you today, Angelo. I care about doing your show the best I can, and this was my card back then. So I was Martin Boogieman Luna in our promotions. Master Mixers was put on there that because I was not trying to go with anything but was for Billboard and everything else because that was considered master mixers.
Right.
And I wasn't trying to overpub mix masters out of respect to the whole company. You know what I mean? And because they paid for the cards anyways. So and um and so with that, I I I uh I worked artist, remixer in the building, Quantum Distributors helping sell records for Benji and the label and other labels. Because I don't know if people know. I think I may have not mentioned this. Everything was sold out of Quantum in a major way. Dance Mania records, Trax records, some of them. Um, Detroit labels, what was it? KMS was it? Um, you had a couple New York labels that snuck through there. So basically, excuse me. So basically, you had Benji was the center at Quantum, which was his baby of getting everything out to the record stores if it didn't go direct. Because as we both know, again, there wasn't a main line for uh, independent labels. You know,
Right.
So what'd you have back then? Like Rock Records. Besides that, the edgy places was what was that? Was that the name of it? The one in the suburbs? What was it called? Rock Records, or what was it called?
The one by Irving Park, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay, I think it was called. I remember that
something Rock, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So,
Where's Benji when you need him? Anyways, so so yeah, but import, etc. Gramophone records and DJ. I'm sorry, and then what's wrong with me? Loop records with Jesse Jones. Those were the places that you
right.
find these first, if anywhere, you know. And then they would go to the other major line stores like Peaches and all that, And yeah, so that yeah. So I had a lot of history there. I did a lot of editing for everybody else too. I lent my services, which we all did for each other. It wasn't like we were all majorly funded by a management company or anything. What we made is what we made. So we used to lend each other services like remixing and editing. And actually, cool thing about that, I think on the last show you said when I bought up how Mickey Oliver taught me how to edit when I was doing mixes for his guest mix show on BMX or his guest mixing. Uh, Mickey, as you know, he was the original edit crazy guy, and he had the craziest intros on all his mixes pretty much. And I used to go to his place in Munster where he lived, and he had his little studio set up there, and then I watched him grab the white pencil with the tape next to it, and there was a cutting board for the reel to reel, which in case everybody doesn't know what a reel to reel is, this is it. So the reel to reel is this, and you see the white tape? That white tape is what attached the other. So if you took this, you put it on the cutting board, cut it, and then you put the white tape, and then you fix it in there, and that's how you would make it an edit. So in other words, you would make a song shorter, that wasn't short and stuff like that. Actually, this is one of my old reel to reels from GCI that I used to turn in. If you can see, that's probably one of the earlier dates. And that was
1990.
yeah. So sometimes I would have two mixes because it was a 39-minute mix, 40-minute mix, and then a 15-minute mix. And that's how they used to break the show up. And
Speaking of edits, I I don't know who told me this, but one of the Hot Mix Five made a record that kind of didn't get credit for. It was a Stars on 45 or something like that, or was it? I don't know what it was. It was all edits, and it was like one of the first mix records per se. Do you know anything about that?
you know what? I'd have to think.
It was like Stars on 45, but it wasn't Stars on 45. I remember it was a yellow label, and it was and from I thought it was Mickey Oliver that did it. That did the
Well,
record.
Mickey used to do a lot of undercover edits out there. I mean, you had a lot of undercover work out there that was just because of their love of the game. Like even Jimmy Drossels, he did like most of the mixes, like the lunch mixes on B96 back then. Nobody knew that. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
I mean, and other stuff, just like, you know, uh, Bill used to do mixes for Chris, Too Cool Chris, nobody knew
Right.
that,
Right.
vice versa. It's like there's even been a discussion about to this day. I think it leans towards Bill on the Fast Eddie 25-minute mix, with all Fast Eddie stuff. It's got Julian's name on there. Uh, hey, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I heard that it was Bill that actually pulled that off. You know what I mean? But if he didn't, hey, it ain't like, I'm just saying, we're talking what we heard. I
Well,
don't sleep
I
with, I
just
don't sleep around with these guys, none, man.
no, no, no.
Not every one of them invited me to like dinner or their house.
No.
But hey, Julian and I, cool story. Julian and I and Frankie Hollywood did do karaoke together because
Oh,
back
Jesus
then,
Christ.
you might remember this, Angelo. There was a place I was playing for. I mean, I was playing at actually at that time at Flam Stardust. And
Okay.
there was a place, a Japanese private bar called Cafe Chino on Ontario. And it was the $1 Million Club, true $1 Million Club. So if you didn't have like a
Don't
business,
remember it. Don't remember it.
huh? What?
Yeah, it's I don't remember the
Okay,
club.
okay. So it was a $1 Million Club. Like basically, if you didn't have big bucks, like Toyota, people that own Toyota, Nissan, stuff like that would come in there, and restaurant owners, and it was a all men's club, basically.
Was
And
it on Erie? Was it
yeah,
on Erie Street?
yeah, Cafe
Yes, yes,
Chino.
yes, I do know the place.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
I do.
and there was a Mater D. Mater D was a cool ass Latin dude, and he used to always bringing them by the club. And I used to have a cassette deck there on purpose because when he bought in
I've been
these,
there.
these foreign guys, they used to buy cassettes live from me, like hand them to them, and they'd hand me like $200, $300, $500 just for an hour mix, man. And then I got invited over there many a times, and I finally went one day, and I'm like, hey, this is a really nice place. You went in there. This is like what, 1989?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 80, 89. And yeah, it had to be. So, anyways, so or was it? No, no, no. Because if it was Stardust, it was 96, 97. No, it was back then. It was Flamingo then, I think.
Okay.
So, anyways, so they give you the hot towel and everything, and domo arigato, at the bar, and uh, you know, you learn these little words, and I could say this because they're gone and closed now, so they don't go get protested at right now for chauvinistic values and all that, but being too manly. But there, once again, it was an all man's club, not because it was gay, and that there's anything wrong with that, but they had back rooms for gambling, so they said, hey, let's give a little tour, Martin. Let me show you around. So we went, opened this curtain, walk in the back, and there's all these rooms, and they're like playing poker, gambling. And then they had the gentlemen's rooms being entertained in a very tasteful manner, trust me. And I was like, wow, this goes on in here. This is wow. It's like like the movies, like a Bruce Lee movie or something. So now, so I'm like, hey, they don't let me pay for a drink there, and they say, hey, you want to, you could bring a friend or two. So, but you can't bring any ladies. I'm like, okay, no problem. So I bring Frankie Hollywood and Julian one day. We were just out cruising in the Mustang, talking crap. I think we went to the movies that day. I don't know what the hell we seen, some stupid movie. But anyways, we ended up getting pulled into doing karaoke. And then so me, Julian, and Frankie did. We were trying to find a song we could all do together, and it was YMCA. No, I'm just kidding. It was the Temptations, My Girl. So that way we were able to do all of us, my girl, my girl, my girl. Yeah, talking about my girl. So we did karaoke. Yeah. So once again, we all have a competitive nature in us. And if this comes across to Julian or anybody out there, it's not personal. That's how we're built. That's how Julian became great. He was out there. He wanted to beat everybody. You know what I mean? And that's what I was talking about on the last show you did. If you're a go-getter and you go out there, you have to be competitive, but at the same time, try to keep a good demeanor. And
Right.
there you go there. But yeah, so I guess we flip back real quick. Yeah, Mickey, he taught me the art of editing, and it was so awesome. Getting back really quick, everybody. The reel-to-reel editing. I'd be in the studio, and imagine this: Tyree would come up to me. I remember it was the first time it happened with Tyree. He's like having me edit. I think it was forgot what song it was, but he's like, I need you to edit this for me. So I'm editing. Okay, is that where you want the cut? Yeah, I cut it, and then I went to the part that I had to cut out, which was a piece like maybe like this, and then I tape it together so we can listen to it. But before we tape it together, I went and I crumbled it up and I threw it in the garbage. And he's like, dude, you don't even know if you did it right. I said, don't worry, watch. Bing, I hit the button. Perfect edit right on the key. And after that, it got around the studio that I was that guy who can edit really quick. Thanks to Mickey, but and you could do a straight cut, a slant cut, or the easy cut. If you were really a cool, clean cutting editor, you could cut that straight like a chef, and you didn't have to do the cheat. And I was able to do the straight cut, and that's why my edits used to be really clean. Yeah. So there you go. Edit studio time. Coolest thing I could tell you outside of that, and I'll brag a little bit. Me and Angela were talking about this off camera a bit. I was a rookie back then, but I was innovative. I was a risk taker. And for everybody producing, writing, if you're doing that today, back then we had to use certain tools. We couldn't buy high line studio equipment. And there was this little Boss step paddle. Guitar players used to use it. If you ever see a guitar player, he's stepping on to get effects for his guitar. Their Boss made a little one. It was blue and silver. And you would connect your microphone into that, and you would the output would go to your mixer with a split cable to 2 RCAs because it was RCA on both sides. I mean, it was 1/4-inch jack on each side. Right. So you put your mic in it, and you had 3-second samples at the most. So you'd be able to do like me for when I DJ live somewhere, I do Boogieman. And that's all I could barely get in there. So when I would DJ, I would set that up on a separate line and hit the Boogieman sample so I could have my Boogieman. The only person that did better than us in that was Kenny Jason, because he actually knew how to use a keyboard, and Kenny used to carry that big keyboard with him. Remember Kenny Jason?
He used to also carry the little one as well.
I remember the big one, the big Juno, I believe.
Right, Juno. Right.
Juno, but and he used to also do a live performance with he used to play Visitors on there, right?
Right.
Visitors, by Kodo. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, real entertainment days. And some of the guys used to take their 909s with them and mix over the 909 track that they had.
That was why I bought my Juno 101. It was the Juno 101 I bought because Kenny had it, and I seen him do it, and that was it. I was like, okay, you know what? I want that. And I had my little 909, and I made my tracks and stuff like that. So I'm sure like Mickey was with you, Kenny was with me, because I seen Kenny do it, and I was like, oh wow, man,
So you carried his records?
No,
because dude, you did, because I carried Kenny's records. Anybody that I tailed with, I carried their records. That was part
I was
of
carrying Mario Reyes' records. That's the truth.
Really?
Mario Reyes' records, because he was dating my sister at the time. So I had to get.
Well, I think I used to carry Kenny and Mickey's. And then when the guys used to show up to do my parties, I'd help carry their records in, whoever it was, Farley, whoever. But it's funny when we talk about carrying records. It's just like the chosen few and stuff like that, and DJs that just have certain claims of fame outside of Mike Dunn, and Mike Dunn's a for real guy on there. But like the other guys, they weren't even really DJing back then. It's like, and then other crews too. I'm sorry, you don't like what you're hearing. I'm sorry, I talk the truth. So here's what happens. It's like we have conversations amongst DJs, okay? And I'm not a back talker. It's like I always say to my guys out there, friends, mutually knowing to other guys, hey, if you go and you tell him what I say, it's okay, because I'll say it in front of him. It's just a fact. He can't tell me I'm wrong. And if I was wrong, I'll say, hey, I was wrong. Hey, you want a shot? Here, let's make up, But a lot of these guys that claim they DJ'd at the warehouse and all this stuff, even the old warehouse before the warehouse in Randolph and Hosted, they didn't DJ there. They carried somebody's records in. It's like, and then sometimes that DJ would let them open up from 9 to 10 o'clock because they didn't want to show up early, and that was it. and all of a sudden they're like resident DJs from there and resident DJs from there. And got, it's like Ron Hardy was the only DJ at the Music Box, basically, right? Everybody somehow DJ'd there. Maybe it was the Kool-Aid they were drinking, because the Kool-Aid was spiked Kool-Aid. So maybe they had a little bit too much Kool-Aid and thought they DJ'd, you know what I mean? When it was really Ron Hardy just really DJing there, but it's just really funny, man. It's like Prime and Tender, the original DJs, to put it on the record, Tony Slaminsinini and Nick's brother Pete, okay? And Pit, that's the way the Greeks say it, Pit. But anyways, outside of that, when I went in there, the other DJs that were either backup or on the odd nights were Sal Esparza, okay? And Sal was there, and Mario Reyes was a resident and a backup. And Bobby Rodriguez, which we had a problem figuring out to call him Bobby Hot Rod Rodriguez or Bobby Rockin' Rodriguez, because Ralphie was Ralphie Rockin' Rosario, then he was Ralphie the Raz. So, but those were the real DJs. You had Bobby, Sal, Mario, and myself. And the originals before us was, like I said, Tony Slaminsinini and Pete Goodles, So let's put that on the record, It's just like at Flamingo, I had a baton passing there too, Flamingo, I had Cool Raul. I think you remember him, Raul Ortiz.
Yep.
And he was DJing with me there. He used to visit up the DJ booth so often, and he did one of my moves and talked himself in, and I took him on, and he was my backup. And then Phil Funkmaster Clay.
I remember him.
Yeah, cool little guy. And he was little, so don't get me wrong. He was short little. And Jeff Jam at Lucero. And or Mr. Miami, we used to call him, because he loved freestyle, and he was great for me because I didn't really play freestyle, I didn't really get into it, and I used to let him play it. So I just want to get those on the record, since we just got into this carrying crates conversation. But
no,
yeah.
I mean, here's a perfect example about carrying crates. I remember Julian had a battle of the DJs against New York, and I used to go by his house a lot. And at the time of the first time I seen William, not Bill, William, okay? And
Blaster Bill. Remember, that was his real DJ name back then. Bad Boy Bill was Blaster Bill.
Right.
And I believe that was because he used to blow up speakers when he DJ'd. He put it too loud and he blow them up. But that's not better than my Prime and Tender story, right, Nick? If you're out there, funny story. DJing. Packed night, like always, thankfully. Thank God it was always good. But all of a sudden, this smoke comes out, and everybody's like, "Did you put the smoke machine on? You need to shut it off." I'm like, "No." One of the speakers caught on fire by the dance floor. After that, Nick would always that's where Nick ends up going to the booth ever since that day, probably because of me. And he lowers the music all the time on the DJ. Here comes Nick.
always.
Hey, he's looking out for his investment, right? There you go.
But I mean, it's just hilarious, dude. I mean, the most scariest thing is having a fire in the club. Let's be honest with you. That's the most scary thing.
Yeah, well, I really put the roof on fire almost, right? But I was that guy.
So back to my Julian story. So I remember.
Wait a minute, this show's about me.
So
go ahead.
This is at the Aragon. It was the battle of the DJs against New York, right?
Go ahead. I'm just messing with you.
Julian, so at his house, I said, "Hey, I have a trick I can show you with scratching." Because I knew he could. That was his thing and stuff like that. I wasn't, oh no, man, I've seen this done before. It was the handcuffs behind the back scratch.
Okay.
With the handcuffs, you remember what they do? But he was like, "Well, I got handcuffs. Let's do it." And of course, he's got his regular standard handcuffs. And if anybody have ever had handcuffs, they only give you a distance this big. I said, "No, dude, it's never going to work."
Was he working for the county back then?
Yes, he was
Yeah,
working for
because
the county.
that's when Kenny Jason got him into Cook County, right?
Right. And then I says, no, man, you got to add links because you need that distance for
Uh,
that. And that's the only way you're going to
and
be able
plus, you
to.
have experience with handcuffs in your
Yeah,
past, right? Okay.
yes. Ask her anytime. So, I mean, and so he was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So I said, all right, I'll go with you to the Aragon. I'm not carrying your crates, but I'll carry the handcuffs.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that's my story of carrying something. I carried his handcuffs.
Yeah, but you know what, man? It was you weren't a friend if you didn't help, man. Because I mean, back
Yeah.
then, everybody, you didn't just have a laptop and a hard drive. I mean, you had. I used to be half laughed at behind my back because I would walk in with no less than 4 crates. I come in with 6 to 8 crates.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I DJ'd a 9 to 4, 9 to 5 night. You know, and I had to be ready for anything. You know. And then
Yep.
sometimes I would do 2 clubs in one night or 3, and every one of them had a different format. So I had to be ready to go into a different club with certain music, you know?
Did you ever get the backpack with the
Nah, I
record
never did
sleeves?
that. I got out of school. I left school. I mean, everybody wants to like go back to school. You know what? Come on. Let me see your number 2 pencil. Take notes, buddy. You don't need a backpack, okay?
Yeah, I remember they had that. They had the backpack. Everybody walking around with the backpack and
Yeah,
I'm
I
like
just don't
thinking,
get the backpack then, man.
and no, but what was hilarious for me is like, I don't know about you, man, but there's going to be at least 20 records in that backpack, and that's heavy as fuck. So you're not going to
There you
be.
go. You just made it rated R again. You did it on the last show.
So that's basically it.
That's okay.
There's something in the coffee here.
Okay. All right. That's good. There's a little cafe there. Yeah.
It's a caffè leche.
The cafe strange.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. That's why you got to get one of these. It's all mixed up. You never know.
Yeah, I heard the microwave going off earlier, so it's I know.
Yeah. I actually own one, everybody. I earned that microwave.
So
Yeah.
it's soup. It's not the coffee. It's soup.
Soup. But yeah, so I guess yeah, we all carried our crates, you know. Just too bad that a lot of guys don't want to admit how they came up for real, you know. I mean, it's like I said, I started off as a roadie to a light man, and then I ended up being a DJ by accident. And that's how I went there, you know. Otherwise, you know, I'm thankful to this day for Kenny giving me that break on BMX, and then Mickey right after him for a guest DJ spot, and then Ralphie taking me under his wing, Ralphie Rosario on GCI, and fun times there. I remember a funny thing when I used to walk into Ralphie in the studio, GCI studios, like I had to like open the door and hurry up and duck because we had this thing where you saw always like, who's coming in the studio, and he acted like he had a bow and arrow. So yeah, it's like a funny thing. It's like, you know, always a good time.
But you didn't always DJ in Chicago. You also DJed other places, correct?
Well,
Besides
yeah, I mean, of
Chicago.
course, we lent ourselves to the suburbs, you know, and beyond. You know, fortunately, it was a little bit different for me because I was right on the Indiana border all my life in South Chicago. So I mean, I was like not even a hop, a skip, and a jump. It was just a hop right over the Indiana border, over there where the casino's at, you know. So on that, I used to get caught into oh man, Highland, man, what was it? The harbor, the Indiana harbor. That's what they used to call it, that area. And Hammond. And I used to DJ out there a lot. It was really more of a competitive thing there too. All respect to the DJs protecting their part of town. They didn't like it when we came out there. There was 2 reasons. One, competitive DJ thing, and the other was girls. So, you know, what happened is that on the girls' side, you know, you would go
Sorry
out
about that.
there and meet new girls. Yeah, I was seeing you on the freeze there. I thought you were trying to like break dance. So hey, don't worry, Langelo. If you freeze, I'll just keep talking. so, so yeah, I mean, all over Indiana, we used to DJ out there. It was really funny too because I used to get caught out there for the stadium parties, and that was a big deal. You know, was their stadium party was like their Navy Pier party, and I used to be this Chicago DJ out there, and a lot of DJs are like, "What the hell is he doing here? He's not from Indiana." But fortunately, I was always able to make good friends with people. You know, I had a few ways of doing that. One, because of my common nature with others, and then I was also a great host. So whenever I used to throw parties and hall parties, and I invited DJs, I'll tell you this much: there wasn't one DJ that probably didn't get a good beverage from me. A beverage. I used to have a little beverage area all the time, and you didn't have to do anything but go back there and serve yourself. And there was these big barrels too, you know, with root beer, and and uh, and it was like you know, and that's a whole nother story too. I mean, I can remember I started off throwing parties in '85. It was by accident again. Just falls on me, man. Me, Marty, and Rudy were DJing a lot of parties for. He didn't have a promotion name really. He just put his name down there, Miguel Ruiz. Miguel Ruiz is a great attorney today out there. Also, I meet a lot of attorneys some way or another. But anyways, he he uh,
Hmm.
he had he had this thing where I guess he had a gut feeling that he didn't want to go through with this party. And I was so excited, man, because this was like the first big flyer I was on. Like they put me on there with the same size letters, you know, because you know how it goes. Like you got letters this small on the flyer and letters this big with Farley's name or somebody. Well, my name was exact same size as everybody else's. And I think the premier mixer that day, I think was Kenny Jason and Mickey Oliver. And it was me, Marty, Rudy, and Joey Diaz. And I apologize. I'll find the flyer if we do a part three.
I was gonna
But
say, you usually have the flyers.
yeah. I got a few here, but you know, that particular flyer, I have an idea where it's at Angeles. I just didn't have enough time after work to find it. Sorry about that. But what happens is what happens. So they owned a store called La Lupita on South Chicago. It was the last stop. If you ever went to South Chicago on the IC, is that what's called? I haven't took train in so long. What's the one with the double one with the orange? The transit. The what's it called? The train from downtown to Chicago, South Chicago. Two floors.
CTA.
No, orange.
Oh,
It's orange with the it's orange on top and the bottom. I mean, it's like it's a double level. Anyways, took that
the
train.
Amtrak.
Nah, it's kind of like that, but they were orange. But anyways, so we took you. It would be the last stop, kind of like the Warriors getting to Coney Island, right? Last stop. So, anyways, they were right next to there, and that was part of his good promotion is that everybody used to pass that store, and they used to pass their flyers out for parties because that was the last stop. So, anyways, he didn't have a good gut feeling about this or something. And I was like, man, I was really looking forward to this party. And then I said, hey, why don't we take it over? I told the guys, and they were kind of, and I'm like, I said, well, how about if I buy the flyers? What can I buy them for? I'll pay for what you paid. So he got them made at Pronto Printing. Remember Pronto Printing, North Avenue? Yeah, yeah. Well, Mark was a joke, wasn't he? He was a joker, Mark. But anyways, uh, he used to tell everybody, where's your skateboard with your knee pads?" Like, because you got to kiss his butt to get a flyer done fast. Remember? Yeah,
Oh,
Mario's.
absolutely. That was everybody.
Yeah. Lucy was his wife. She used to sit there and laugh too, right? But anyways, so I bought the flyers off of him, and then I find out there's another cool story to this that I had to pay for the Union Hall for the party. So I said, how much for that? He used to rent the Union Hall back then in '85 for these parties that held 800 plus people for $250, 275. So I bought that off of him. I paid him for the party rental. I had to hire security. Chief Glenn, rest in peace, a great guy. He was a Blue Dragon karate master, kung fu, etc. I mean, no disrespect to each art. I think it was karate, and he was also had a security team, and everybody used to rent him. So I had to pay him too. There's this underage guy like me paying security to work for me, pay for the hall. My dad lent me the money, and he also watched the door that day with his big buddy. It looked like kind of like the movie Goodfellas, this big bodyguard guy, and they're watching the money come in at the door that night. Anyways, so pay those bills. So it basically cost me like 550 just to start the party, and then we were able to sell alcohol, and that was being served. I ended up at that party walking out with around $4,000.
Wow.
And Miguel was very, very congratulatory about it. But it was like, if it wasn't for Miguel Ruiz and his brother Carlos backing me up, Carlos, his brother, big clubber. I think you met Carlos, big Carlos Ruiz with the Rust voice. He called him Los Daddy as a joke. But anyways, they gave me that opportunity. Miguel gave it to me, and because of that, I became what do you call it, entrepreneur. I was now a promoter. And then later on after that, where it got around that this guy Boogieman's throwing these parties, and then I ended up bringing everybody from your side of town over there, and there was like DJs galore. But I remember one party, cool story on the liquor story. I'm sorry, beverages. I used to hire DJs out of your side of the neighborhood and the suburbs, and I had this idea to do the most DJs in one night. Now, a lot of people don't know it, but I got a numbers thing. If you go to the boat with me or something like that, I like the number 2 and 5. So 25 to 5, 25, 50, 20, I just don't agree with. I don't know why. But anyways, or 52. So I ended up getting 50 DJs to DJ a night. Now, back then, I don't know, I think some of you remember, we used to start throwing parties at 7 o'clock. Okay. So that party went from 7 o'clock till 3 in the morning. So the way I featured that out is that everybody DJ'd 15 minutes. And my whole thing was I paid everybody $1 a minute. That was the gimmick, $1 a minute. Okay. So that means everybody got $15. But I told them I would have beverages, and I did. So everybody had beverages all night, and a lot of great stories about that. Even when Jesse Jones used to host my parties and all that, and he's like, love coming to my parties, man, because I always hosted nicely. And when I used to go to your side of town, Angelo, I don't think you remember maybe, but I used to carry a crates of records like I told you. And one crate, I used to cover it with wires and other things. One of the crates, and under it, I had a bottle of white liquor, brown liquor. And we were mixing drinks on the stage, man. It was a party. Like Victor Wolf, my buddy Victor Vino, he always mentions like, dude, you were the first guy to get me drunk. Like, but I was a good host like that. And that's why I like even like I can remember when when the record companies used to come to Chicago when I was a Billboard reporter, they used to all recommend me because I was always a great host. And there's articles to prove that. I got articles there I could share, but I don't think we have to go there. But it was just my common nature, and I actually did 50 DJs with concerts. At the same time, we had a concert, I think, that night with Liz Torres. Wow. And then I did another one where we had, I think, 25 artists. I squeezed them all in for a song each. I had everybody from Fast Eddie to Liz Torres to who else? Man, there was like a lot of artists, man. Paris Brightledge, Sterling Boyd, stuff. I mean, I went all over the board, and right. Everybody got paid though. I was always a generous guy. I was like you. I paid everybody before they even started. You know what I mean? Now the $15 one, right. That's a whole other story. Like, ooh, wow, you paid $15 there. Well, you add that up with 50 DJs, it adds up. $1 a minute.
Well, one of the things I remember is you used to come visit me every Tuesday almost at Tuesday Night Boxing.
Oh yeah.
that was like
allegedly.
That was your home.
Allegedly. Well, that's because not everybody DJ'd everywhere on a Tuesday night either. You picked a very unique night, and I guess you still carry that. Huh?
Yeah. So on a Tuesday, but you weren't just showing up. You didn't hang out with me. You were in the VIP.
Yeah,
You were
yeah.
there, front and center. You were the guy who was you weren't the quiet guy. Let me put it
Keep
that
talking.
way.
Keep talking. Okay, go ahead.
So so you weren't the quiet guy. You were the guy that was literally egging
I did
people on per
I
se.
did you a good favor when I was there, right? Do you remember what that was? I think you may be probably getting to that. Do you remember
So
what I used to
what did
do?
you do? What did you do?
The Chicago Bulls and a couple Bears players used to sit next to my table. Remember, you always got me a table by the ring.
Right, right. In
Okay,
the
me and the
VIP
guys.
section, yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I used to always tell them when they used to come in with their 15 entourage of people, I used to look over their table and say, "You're not going to order any bottles? Are you serious? Like, man, come on. You said, look at my table. I remember I used to upsell you all the time. I used to order food and everything, but I'd upsold your liquor. And I used to like always talk them down, like telling them that they're like basically cheap bastards or something, like because I was loud. But
Yes,
yeah, it was I used to upsell you, brother.
and you had the best server of them all.
Thank you. Yes, you took care of us very nicely.
Yes,
Strong
yes,
server.
yes.
They had a lot of muscle.
But I remember he was a little tiny guy that used, I mean, really short, tiny guy that used to, he was hustling all the time. And the guy used to, I mean, those were crazy nights. Tuesday night boxing was crazy nights. I remember that was very fun and very,
This is one of the flyers, like with all the DJs that used to come. This is one of
yeah,
like this is not even close to it. But see, like all the boys right there. And that's not even like, you know, and that was like when we used to do it at the Union Hall.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then you had like Master C and J, you had the dancers and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. But I do have one of the old ads. I know where it's at right now, where I'm sitting at your thing Tuesday nights at what was it called again? The Cache. What was it called?
Tropicana de Cache. Yeah.
Yeah. And you had the boxing night and arm wrestling,
Yep.
and then you had
That
the
was
hottest ring girls. Yeah, I mean it was like at least 98 degrees in there. It was really hot.
Yep. And Ruben used to make sure that was it was done that way.
And he was a great host too. Ruben was a definite gentleman, great
Yeah,
professional.
definitely. I mean, but Shawnee Carter kind of started his career out there. I just talked to Frankie, the Tasmanian Devil. I was just talking to him. Remember, Frankie was the champ boxer as well. Juan Iguana, that was another guy as well. There were plenty of people.
Yeah, I
There
remember
were,
we tailed back off you too. I wasn't but I got hired for it. There was you had Eric's North and Eric. What was the one?
Eric South.
Eric, yeah, but they called it Matrix, and they were doing the boxing nights. Remember?
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember.
and then they
I,
got
I
in
think.
trouble because our good buddy Rick Lindstrom, Rich, which his son is Rick, but Rich, who was with Marion, and they were both the owners. They also owned Eric's North, and anyways, they got in trouble one night by the neighbors and everybody. They felt it was wrong that they were throwing midget boxing, so they called it midget boxing, and that just blew it all apart. But I used to DJ the Matrix night, and it was like really, really a cool night there too. But yeah, props on you, man. That was a legendary night on those Tuesdays, man. I used to like, and I used to use it for closing deals too. I used to bring a lot of my clients there and treat them nice and right, and you did too, and got more gigs out of it.
Oh no, I mean,
Mhm.
I met Usher there. I knew Robert Kelly already. Robert, I knew him already. But I mean, there was the Renegades would come there. And if you remember, we also had a host, Dr. Love on WGCI. He was part of it as well. And Dr. Love added a different atmosphere to the whole Tuesday Night Boxing because he would
He had this
joke.
terrible cologne, yeah. Oh, you mean atmosphere? Oh, okay. All right, all right.
But I remember because here it kind of encompassed a lot of people being there, and that's what I really liked about it, was because it wasn't just, trust me, it wasn't all about me. I was, just like you said, at the time that you're carrying 6 crates of records, I was carrying 14 different books of CDs, because you had to change the music, and basically what we have on our laptop now with our crates and stuff like that, and our program and stuff like that. And it was just a very unique situation. But one of the things I remember is that, sure enough, I'm hearing yelling from downstairs in the VIP room, and that was you yelling. I don't know who you're yelling at, but you were, yeah, come on, rated G. You were going off.
Yeah, yeah,
You were always going off. I mean, but you were loud. You were loud all the time, and it used to make me laugh. And I'm like, yeah, that's Martin. That's Martin. Yes,
yeah.
that's
You know
Martin.
what? Just to track, and I think it was when I was teasing the other tables for you.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it was. Like, come on, serious? You serious? That's all? One bottle? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we used to have quite a few.
uh, I'll tell you, promoters back then, we were a different breed. Um, just like today, like, I remember I had a good conversation with Brian Surreal, around 12 years ago. And I was like asking him, I said, so what's the deal? I mean, you're here now. We could talk business. He didn't have a problem talking business with me. He knew I knew how to keep my mouth shut. But it was like, so what's the deal here? Bar, da da da. He's like, nah. He said, it ain't like that anymore. He says, you promote and you just get this amount, and that's it. High or low, same amount every night. Nah, how about when back then too, it was like when they were probably going to start that promoters law, you know what I mean? And everybody was going to
I
have
remember that.
insurance and all that. And I think it is statable that you're supposed to, but they never enforce it, but like we were talking about last time, if you're out there and you're looking to get back as a DJ back into the scene, man, you better get ready. It's going to be really squeezed up tight, and you're going to have to fight for your right to do it, because um, there's going to be limited amount of places that can entertain now, because if they don't have an amusement license, which means if they can't have a banjo player there or somebody on a microphone singing, you're not gonna be back in business, man. That's why I said it before. It wasn't being mean. I respectfully, I know a lot of you probably got great jobs and you do DJ on the side, so I'm not pointing at everybody, but you really need to get a job, man, outside of DJing, because it ain't gonna happen, man. It ain't gonna happen unless you're filling stadiums like the big guys, 10,000 people or more, and you have an act behind you with that DJ thing. You're not gonna do it, And a lot of the clubs, unfortunately, in Chicago are going to be taking a big hit, and you're going to take that hit with them if you want to be the DJ there. I guess it's going to just show the strong survive in that case. Just like back in the day, I remember like the way I moved myself in from the ladder up. I used to go into clubs that didn't have anybody on purpose. And I used to say, hey, let's give it a try. Let me be your DJ. I'll bring in nights, and let's start from zero. And same thing like I did with Buzz when I started at Buzz with Mike Grevin and Chris O. Chris O Bubs, Bubs. But I went there one day to visit. They had DJ Teddy Bear there, really cool guy. But he was admittedly saying he was always DJing the Rush Street circuit, but he was DJing there that night because he knew them, and he used to DJ. He was the first DJ I ever seen sitting on the stool and DJing. He was a big heavy guy, not like
Teddy Bear.
yeah, but and he DJ'd on a chair, and I was like, but he DJ'd good, and we got along. And the next thing you know, he's like, man, this is just killing me. I can't be here every night. My wife, this and that. I got a real job, he said. And so Chris and them talked to me, Chris and Mike, about doing guest spots, and I started doing guest spots. And we went from like 20, 30 people a night on that Monday night at Buzz to, what was it, 800?
Yeah,
People
industry
still
night.
waiting outside. And it was a true industry night because, like they try to throw industry night on everything now. Everything's industry night.
Well,
Industry night, it was
one of
true
the first
because,
ones, right?
huh?
It was one of the first ones in
Yeah,
Chicago.
yeah, one of the first ones. Before that, they had an industry night, I believe, at Limelight, right?
I don't
Limelight had
remember.
an
I was
industry
not
night. Okay, but Limelight was Excalibur later, everybody, in case you don't
right,
know the
right,
build.
right, right, right.
Okay, so what happens is that wait a minute, did Neil Smart Bar have an industry night Tuesday? Or was it just their new wave night?
It was a new wave night. It was a
Okay.
new wave
All
night.
right. Well, once again, the reason I remember these places because that was about the only night I can go out anywhere. You know, the only thing happening back then was uh
Neil's.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Neil's.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And then basically so, you know, I got it. Where was I? Oh yeah, so on the industry night, that's where
At the
you
buzz.
yeah, at the
Yeah.
buzz, that's where you would find all the promoters. Well, there wasn't really promoters back then. Mainly you found the managers and owners of the clubs. And
Right.
that's where you really networked. You know, that's
Or
why like back then when
or
like
bartenders and bouncers were there too as well.
yeah, and they used to rotate them from the other clubs sometimes.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. You
Exactly.
know, they had the dynamic duo and they used to switch other bartenders a lot. But
Right.
it was so popular and a true industry night that I remember I got like when Frankie Hollywood Rodriguez came back to town, I gave him a guest spot because he just finished doing a tour and he was out in Florida for a while doing some big things and he ended up changing the scenery back to Chicago and I got him a spot there as a guest DJ. Boom, there you go. You know, it was a really good takeoff plan. You know what I mean? And he re-hit in Chicago. You know what I mean? And then I remember even Julian was DJing on B96 doing the show with Tim, you know, Julian Perez. And he was, I don't know, I guess he was having a slump or something, couldn't get gigs. And then I ended up bringing him in as a guest DJ. And he got his little time in there and he made something out of that. You know what I mean? It was just that powerful of a place on Monday night. And it was all done out of heart for the industry, you know what I mean? And Chris O was bouncing everywhere, or a doorman, O-turn bouncer, you know, and he was, and then you had Mike Grevin right behind him, and they made that happen. I mean, Buzz was big. I think you remember that. And then right after that, I ended up sharing the night with DJ Finesse, Sebastian, DJ Sinbad, Sebastian Hernandez, and Danny Boy, DJ Danny Boy. Yeah.
Is that when you started working at Transit as well?
Yeah, I was at Transit. I was at I think Le Passage. Yeah, Le Passage.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Little Passage.
Transit. I was at Betty's Blue Star Lounge. Uh, and what else was I at? I was at was I still at Stardust? No, 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 no. That was already over. Yeah, I was basically at those spots. Those were the top spots back then.
Right, right.
Oh,
'Cause I
Crowbar.
remember,
I was at Crowbar too.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
I remember Transit more so because
Hey,
it
I was
hadn't
at Soundbar
turned,
too. Towards the end of that, I was at Soundbar.
but I
And I was the main resident on every floor, everybody. I wasn't in the little corner room where everybody went in there to just get a drink because the other bar was full. I was on the main floor.
so I remember you at
And
Transit.
hey, Eddie Rockets, I just seen a side note there. I was there Wednesday and Saturdays. I ended up doing Saturdays too.
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't know that because
Yeah, because
on
you went
Wednesday,
there, because you were DJing.
yes, I was DJ.
Yeah, once again, a lot of people don't understand. You know, some of us never even stepped into certain clubs. Like, hey, you never went there? Like, you ever went to 1, 2, 3s? I went there like not even 3 times, 1, 2 times, not 1, 2, 3. You know, because I went there especially because it was Ralphie's party one night, Ralphie Rosario, and another night for Mickey. And that's the only time I ever just snuck in there. And then I had to go right back to the club because they would let me leave for that 1 hour and I had to get in and out. I mean, I mean, you know, when you were a resident DJ, you didn't DJ for a year. You were probably there for years and you just didn't have a chance to go anywhere. Just like when I was at Shelter and I mean, at Flamingo and at Stardust, man, those were long runs like Prime and Tender. I just was nowhere else for that term until 93. I spread my wings in 93.
Oh no, I remember the Saturday you were DJ Saturday because I know we talk. We used to talk and you said, "Oh, I'm here on Saturday again." And okay, you know, but I'll see you here Wednesday. That would be my and your conversation.
Yeah, because warehouse was around that time too, though, Angelo. I was there
Correct, correct.
Fridays, and that was once again a weird night because it was uh, B96 night, and I was DJing on GCI at the time, but I was a resident for B96 night. I had that kind of in, and so I used to open up. Julian used to come in, and then he used to go off. I mean, not go off. I mean, he used to come in, do his hour, and then I go back on. So I basically open and close on the
Right,
main
right.
floor.
And
Anybody else that said they were up there, get out of here. You weren't. Okay, you were downstairs, which was just as great because the sound system kicked butt in the whole place. But other than that, the other nights at the warehouse was Mike Dunn and Joe Smooth, nobody else. And there was a little backup by. No, that was it. The main brain there was Mike Dunn and then Joe Smooth.
well, nobody brought it up in the comments, so I'm going to bring it up. Here's something, but everybody remembered you because of your hairstyle. I was one of the things that everybody remembered, and I don't know. Maybe you want to tell the story. There it is.
It was me and my mom.
Hey, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
was
So my mom was a hairstylist all my life. I told you, and I was trendy. Funny story was when I was we had a breakdance story we talked about, but anyways, when I used to do my hair like that, man, I remember I think it was part of the Pachuco movement back then, a little bit before that, and I just got a little bit sort of experimental. And I always liked the 50s guys, and I thought the dapper look was awesome, Elvis Presley. And I'm gonna tell you, man, before I went out, I used to have to like blow dry my hair, and I used to have to like dip. I used to have to let gravity help me dry it while it was down like that. And then I'd come up and I'm like, okay, wind tunnel tested, we're good, And it was all thanks to Mr. Paul Mitchell. Paul Mitchell did that for me, everybody. In case you want to know, and I still use Paul Mitchell products today.
my daughter will be very happy for that.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
she's worked there.
yeah, yeah. But yeah. So but the funny thing on that hair thing, that was also around the time. Now, if you look, I had like a bush up there. You see that? Okay, so that bush of hair, I got called out at Calumet Park in my neighborhood. There was was you had your break dance. What was your break? I'll let you say the name, even though it's my show today. What was the name of your dance crew?
The floor masters.
Okay, the Floor Masters. They started off as being janitors for the club, and then they let them dance. That's what happened there. But anyways,
Okay.
yeah. So we were the trance dancers, and there was Awesome,
Okay.
and there was TNT from Indiana by the border, and there was also the Dance Masters. And so what would happen is that when you go by Calumet Park, Cal Park on the lake there by Indiana border, I was by myself. Like today, I think Angelo knows I walk in the club solo a lot. I don't really carry an entourage unless I had crates of records with me. So I walked in. Well, actually, I have to give due credit. The guys that always were there for me carrying the correct record crates with me was my bro man forever, Ruben Cruz, and Nacho Escobedo, Curtis Escamilla, Mookie, and my cousin Tom Garcia. They were always there for me on the record carrying no matter what. But it wasn't too hard to find people who carry records if they weren't around because you got into club free with a DJ by carrying them in. So that's how that worked. And if you wanted to get a girl back in there with you that was underage, you ever carry the crate in with you so they don't ask her for an ID. Same thing for some of the guys. Yeah, but man, what was I going to?
You were saying about the breakdancing.
Oh yeah,
Remember
so we're at
your
Cal
hair?
Park, and they caught me off by myself, and so it was like the movie Beat Street and all that. You every time someone comes out, or you'd have to go in for that person, that crew against that member. So I was really good. I just couldn't do flips. I couldn't do flips, and I couldn't do the crab walk thing good, but everything else I was able to do. The aerial work. Different terms for that. We had a helicopter. And then, I was able to, once again, I was able to break dance and wave and pop lock and everything else. And I did every move I could, and all of a sudden, one of the guys had to come out there and do a head spin. But he had a piece of plastic, and he put it on the cement, and he spun. And I'm like, oh crap! You got to do their move. Fortunately, nobody was flipping that day, so I said, what the hell? I had my cut off shoulders, like you can see here again. Everybody, you see that? Okay, and so I went. I'm doing my up rock. I go down, do my footwork, and then I get up and I'm doing my helicopter thing there, and then I said, okay, I got to spin up on my head so I don't put too much weight on it, but get a few turns, and then you remember, Angelo, you push yourself off so you could land on your feet, and I did that. But I get up, and then the guys all look at me. I went like this, like, come on, who's next? And they all said, and they walked off. And all of a sudden, my friends are, you okay? And I'm like, what? And I have all this blood coming down my arm. I didn't know I was bleeding from my arms from the scraping the cement. And I hurry up and I rubbed my head. I'm like, and I wasn't bleeding, but it's because of all the stuff I put in my hair. I didn't get affected by cement. I was protected by all these hair products. Yeah. Tales of the battles, man.
So breakdancing saved your life.
Yeah, kindly. Yeah. It added to it. Yeah, but we were semi-pro. We were on channel 25. Back then, I think that was a channel, and then HBO channel did a little segment with us too, because we got called into Columbia College to do that segment. We did it inside Columbia College.
Yeah, that was a big time for breakdancers, right? I got to say that in this industry, and I'm talking about the industry, in the club industry, in the dance industry, breakdancing was a big part of this, and it's when I left breakdancing, and I tell everybody I left breakdancing because at my age, when I was 15 years old.
Oh, Angelo, happy belated birthday to you, everybody.
Thank you.
It was Angelo's birthday the other day. Happy belated birthday, brother.
Thank you.
And I'm going to do a little salute. Cheers to you here. A la pomada. Here you go, brother. Gendon. To 100 years.
So when we're doing it at 15 years old, and it comes to time 19, 20 years old, it's kind of like, oh man, and then at the same time I was, DJing, and I was playing basketball as well. I was doing very well in basketball. Abel, I don't know if DJ Abel tells you the stories about the basketball that we used to do all the time. And very good basketball player, by the way. Still,
no, we're not talking about Abel. Let's get over you quick too. We gotta get back to me.
So I remember that whole thing is like, I feel, having that many people, that group, that responsibility, to leave it, kind of like that's something you created, something that's your baby, and to pass the baton over, per se. And I don't know how you felt when you left Prime and Tender, giving the baton away. It's hard. It was
I mean,
hard.
you know what though? Because I always cared about my bros, my DJ brothers. I actually, it was easier than I thought, because I knew that they would be there for me and back me up in sometimes. And like, say for instance, Prime and Tender, Nick knew I had these certain guest DJs, and there came a point where Nick would let me leave the club at certain nights because I gave him the marketing effort. I say, hey, look, Nick, they want me to do a guest spot for a concert at Eric's North. You know what that's going to do for us, right? They're going to know it's me. I'm going to announce where I'm from, and they're going to come see us here, Right. And so then I ended up getting DJ Frosto to back me up, a confidant there, and then John Hernandez. And there were other DJs in between, but those were the main two guys. Everybody who says otherwise, they were probably working lights or DJing while they were cleaning the place up during the day or something. But, all due respect, just saying this, those were, like I said, Bobby, Sal were there, Mario, everybody. But when I passed the baton, it was John Hernandez and Frosto. And part of the reason why, and it was really important when you pass that baton, that that DJ had to be around you a lot because they had to mimic you, they had to copy you and play your style because that's the only way it's going to keep surviving that way. You know, same thing when I was at
Right.
Flamingo and I had got called out to Phoenix and on Broadway, Phoenix with Tony Batoy and uh, what's his name? He owned PS Chicago and everything. Perry Orr.
Perry Orr. Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Yeah,
Perry Orr.
yeah, and they had that great Phoenix thing going on, and one of the partners from Flamingo went into that with them, and he wanted to bring me over there, so I left it with Phil and Phil Funkmaster Clay and Jeff Jam and Lucero and Cool Raul,
Right.
and that's how that works. So, that's what made it easy, So everybody, please understand, I wasn't not that you questioned me out there, everybody, but some people may say certain things. I was one of the most generous DJ friends you can have. That's why, like I told you last time on the other show, Angelo, I had a proof in the pudding thing. This is one of the ads I had put out in Illinois Entertainer, I believe, or what was this? But if you look at it, I used to take full page ads. These ads used to cost me $700 a month. Okay. So you see my name there on the top featuring me, of course, because I have to. I'm paying for it, but, showing that I did my movie projects. They were on DVD at the time, the Juan Fausto movie that I did the sound production for. And I was always a sound director for Drive By. That's the
Right.
one that CZR was. I got CZR in there. Disco, a rapper, was on there for their own project. And then DJ Fausto got me involved with his brother, because I guess my studio skills, and that was right after after I did Truth or Dare, Madonna's movie. And
Right.
if you can see the DJ's names there, it's probably kind of hard to see. Hold on.
Yeah,
But
kind of hard to see, but it's
right there, you can probably see it easier now. You see Fasty Daddy.
Scan that and put that as a JPEG, because we definitely like to see that.
And then and look how nice. I'm the one who paid for this ad. And I used to put all the music sources where you see all the record stores, Another Level, DJ Records, Hot Jams, Gramophone Records, Mixed Music, Illinois Record Pool, VIP Record Pool. I put the clubs that all the guys were featured at: Buzz, Blue, Bacchus, Cafe Allure, Circus, Confetti's, Glow, Leg Room, Red Dog, all these places. We were everywhere, So, I just like you were bringing up about the Latin market on the last time. I forgot to cap on that. I'm gonna just tell you something. I took a lot of risk when I was at Shelter. I took a risk playing a lot of different music. That's probably why I didn't last there after close to a year or something, because I was, I was just very innovative. I even played, at Shelter, I was playing the Diggy Diggy Doc, y'all. I mean, dude, I was playing Def Jam record stuff, everything on that floor, man, from hip house to the light, Groove is in the Heart, and when it came to Circus in the bedroom, when I was at Circus, I went in as a guest DJ. Then they offered me the bedroom, and the bedroom became so great. It was only a third the size, if a fourth the size of the main room, and everybody wanted to go into that room. They ended up closing the big room sometimes just because they couldn't keep them in there. Everybody wanted to get in my room. So next thing you know, I was playing stuff like Elvis Crespo and everything like that. And same thing happened at at Crowbar. I was the first guy to play Latin music on the Crowbar dance floor. And I opened up a lot of avenues for the Latin market, which you had, Angelo, you and other guys, you had it because you had it. Just like when Miss Mystery was doing, why did I forget the name? My sister's house before that. What was it? What was it before?
You're talking about Cairo.
Kairos. Yeah, Miss Mystery had that in the Latin side. You had the Land of Oz. Remember Oz? They were a Latin night. You know what I mean? And those were your premier spots, the only spots, basically. Tell me if there was another one besides Flamingo, which Flamingo did. Saturday nights was a live band, and then the DJ got so good they didn't need the band anymore. Sorry, and I ended up taking over the whole Saturday night. But that was after a while.
Here's something that before Crowbar was there. There was a Latin club that was kind of done there right before Crowbar, before they actually made Crowbar. It was called 1531. I don't know if you remember that at all.
I don't.
they had a dude. It was a huge live bands and stuff. It was this guy Abu, a couple guys, lawyers. Excuse me, cops. They were all cops. There were 5 cops that did this. I forgot the name of the company, what you called, but it was called 1531, and that's the address, right? 1531, and they were doing a salsa night there, and that was right after the Land of Oz. You know,
Okay. Well, if
the
you get
Land
what
of
I'm
Oz.
saying, though, see, the Land of
Yeah.
Oz knocks that out the box because I'm going once again
Right.
to the first ones. But what
Yes.
what I did, that's why like I got knocked off of GCI. You know, it was really a terrible thing. I went on there. I did so great for the show, like we talked about. I went #1 with them against first time against a talk radio, WGN and WBBM. You never beat talk radio back in the day as a music station. We did that with Club 107.5 being part of the whole thing. Okay. Now I know it was more like Tom Joyner and all that did that, but I was there. Okay. But when I was on GCI, I got caught in by not Stephen Ross, who brought me in. He ended up taking off, and the Mr. Big Shot from Dallas came in, another guy from out of town that thinks he knows everything about Chicago. Like, get the hell out of here, dude. This is a whole nother city, okay? And he was trying to force things down my throat to play. And he said, you got to play more Janet Jackson, more the chimes, more, heavy D even, and Shabba Ranks, stuff like that. And so what he didn't know, I was Billboard reporter. So I was able to get special remixes sent to me from the labels. Okay. And these were special promos with house versions. So we get past that. I'm playing these titles. They're seeing them on my playlist when I turn in my reel to reels. And in one day, he just got on my nerves, calls me into the office again. Hey, Martin, can we talk about the mixes this weekend? I'm like, last weekend? I'm like, yeah, sure. So he's like, all right, I'm going over this list here. And you played too much Latin stuff. I said, wait, what do you mean? Now, don't get me wrong. I was the first one to play the Pupun, Mani Mani Pupun by El General, the General.
Yeah,
I was the first one to play that, and that was before Tom Ramos bought him to the little concert thing over there. What was the place called? It's got a Polish name to it or something, Highlanders or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anyways, right before that, I broke him. I broke the General in Chicago because I was able to sneak it in with Shabba Ranks, right? So
Right.
next thing you know, he's like, you play too much Latin music. And I says, wait a minute, what are you talking about? So he pulls this list out. I said, okay, show me what I played. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, this song right here, Kim Sims, Too Blind to See It. Dude, this is, I'm not going to say his name. I'm like, that was written, performed, and produced by Black people, including Steve So Curly, besides Kim Sims. And he's like, well, I says, can I close the door real quick, respectfully? He says, sure. So I close the door. And mind you, everybody else in there treated me great. Everybody, Tom Joyner, Irene Mojica, Armando Rivera, the staff during the day, everybody was great with me.
Mojica, Rivera.
Yeah. Well, no, but that's why I said the story. Even Marv Dyson was cool with me. The station owner, other Geffen at that. I mean, I'm saying not Geffen. What was it called? Well, anyways, so next thing you know, I close the door and I says, I got to ask you something. I says, everything you're telling me is not right. I just told you just told me something that's not Latin. I says, do you have a problem with me personally? And he's like, no. I says, what's the deal here? Because you asked me to play all the artists you said. I've been playing them. I says, I have the show all night. I get them all in there. And we do the club thing where it has to be dance orientated. It's called Club 107.5. And I've invited you to every nightclub out there to see it yourself. And he's like, well, it's just, we have to make some changes on this show because, it has to be R&B and all this stuff and the artists we play during the day. I said, okay, make it really simple for you. Obviously, you want somebody black. And he looks at me. He's like, no, I'm not. I says, look, honestly, I know what you're doing behind my back because there was a couple other DJs in Chicago that were using that term. And that's why I got away with GCI radio for a long time because nobody knew that I was like, not black. I was Latin to everybody. You know, I'm Native American, I'm Spaniard, I'm Italian, I'm Latin. Okay. But I said, and I didn't say this in any hate way. I was upset at him, but I said, so I mean, would if because if you and he stood quiet, so deadly, like not deadly, like lost quiet. So I stepped in for myself again and him, and I said, okay, well, let me say this. The reason I'm asking is because I have the perfect guy for you. I says, first of all, I don't get paid to DJ here. I says, I've supplied my own reels. I buy my own reels. You don't pay me to DJ here. You put me on the Tom Joyner show during the day and all that. I appreciate it. But most of the gigs I have are because of me, not because I got them from you. Actually, the only gig I got from them was from the Charlie Club. I went to the Charlie Club, went up there with my records by myself that night because I had nobody to help me carry them that night. Everybody was busy. I go up this elevator to the Charlie Club. I walk in. The bouncer stops me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I says, "Okay, I'm from WGCI. I'm supposed to DJ at like 11 o'clock. He looks at me with a squint. He says, "All right, hold on." He comes back. He says, "We don't need you tonight." Now, the reason I got away with that is because I always, and Armando Rivera will tell you, he was going to use the name Luna on the show. But I'm a chess player. I think ahead. And I said, no, just go with Martin, the Boogieman. And that's how I got away with being on GCI for so many years. While a few of you guys in Chicago were talking crap behind my back, but that's okay because it never affected me. But that's what happened there. And then same thing at the clubs. I used to fight to play everything. I wanted to include everybody, hip hop, Latin, everything. You know, when I went to Cairo, I got really hyped up with the Latin stuff. Like, man, I got to play some of this stuff. You know what I mean? You know,
Right.
so I did everything I could for Chicago all the time. And if you want to look back, everybody, look at all the other stations and you know which ones I'm talking about on dance radio that was mixing. I was the only one playing it all. It was somewhat unique, like when WBMX was on. You knew what you were going to get from everybody. Ralphie played a little Latin twist on everything. Kenny was all over the board, and then you had Farley, who had his own little corner too, playing like music box stuff and things like that. And then you had Scott Seals that was only on there for a short time, but he was you didn't know whether you were listening to Farley or Kenny if you were listening to him. He kind of played like both of them, which was fine. A little mix there too. And you had Mickey, which you knew what Mickey was playing, pineapples and whatever else, and Native Love. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
But overall, yeah, and so that's what I always did. I those were my mentors. Those are the guys that I grew up listening to. So when besides my neighborhood being bought up in a neighborhood of R&B, new wave, rock, El Chicano, stuff like that, Malo, and everything disco, you know. I always try to keep that in the nightclubs that I was at, and I would fit it in somehow. I really would. I got away with a lot of stuff, you know, and so I just wanted to say this is not taking like everybody owes me, but you know, it's even like when it came down to the year around maybe the 1980, 98, 99, 2000, everybody was starting to call me a cheesy DJ behind my back. But I read the market. You got to read market. DJs, if you're listening, don't listen to anybody. You know, wherever they're going to pay, you go there. You know, if they want you to play country. You know what I mean? It's like, get your money, man. It ain't about being cool. You know, I mean, it's not like they're going to put an article about you in the Sun Times or Tribune tomorrow. So what do you care? You know, you're not like that. And I'm like that. I'm not that either. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I was Mr. Cheesy DJ, but guess what? I was DJing every nightclub 7 nights a week. There was a time I was making very, very, very big dollars from that. Think about it. I was getting like $400 to $600 a night minimum everywhere. When I was DJing on GCI, I was getting $300 an hour for gigs. So that was that though. You know what I mean? The other guys were getting like 500. I was a 300 standard because I wasn't anywhere close to like Julian Farley and Ralphie and all of them and Kenny and Mickey. But I got, you know, I think they were getting 500 a night. I mean, an hour. I was getting like three, you know. But
Right.
yeah, it's like, you know, I'm not ranting or nothing.
It's
I'm
no,
just
but
talking
it's
about the struggle. You know, there was
no,
a
no,
struggle.
and trust me, I agree with you about radio and heads of radio or program directors of radio because some of these guys don't have the ears to the street per se of what's going on. You know, they're stuck in in their glass penthouse. In 1993, a perfect example, somebody from
Angelo.
B96, but, and that in 1993, I was in Miami, and that was the first time I heard La Macarena. And I remember seeing the whole thing. And first thing I do is I come back to Chicago after I had for the Winter Music Conference, and I ran to, I won't say his name, and I said, "Hey, there's this huge song, La Macarena."
Mhm.
He did the whole. It's too Latin for us. No, we can't play it. No, we'll never play it. It's too hot. No, 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 no. Took him. I think what was it that they did it when the president did it? Then
Uh,
also it was I think
I forgot
96.
which one it was.
I think it was in 96. I think it was Bush.
It was the president of the United States.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it wasn't Trump, okay? I know. So what
But dude,
and then
it had to be probably was it Bush?
yeah, it was Bush. It was Bush that they did it, and they did it over, and all of a sudden they're playing it 3 years later, and I'm like, what the hell, dude?
Oh, by the way,
This
hi
is
to
a
all my
song.
friends out there from the neighborhood in Bush, because we had a neighborhood area called Bush. Hi, everybody from Bush and South Darien and Slag Valley and South Chicago and the East Side. I just had to get that in there.
Ta-da-ta. And and it's frustrating. Okay, that's 1993, right? So 10 years later, I say, hey, don't make the same mistake. I go up to him, in 2003 and I say, hey, there's this hot song called Maria, Ricky Martin.
Yeah.
He did the same thing. I'm like, oh my God. It just bewilders me because, I mean, because
Well,
these
here,
people,
Angelo, let me cut into that. Check this out. You just reminded me of something. So back then, there was a big American DJ finals in Chicago. Okay, it was like the Bad Boy Bill days and all that. Okay, so if
what
you can
year?
see
What
there,
year was that?
that was it had to be around 87, because here, and it's going
Okay.
to tell whites. Now look at the first words right there. Who wants to go to Chicago in early March with the weather at -20, carrying 8 boxes of merchandise to Black to Customs, da 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 da. Say, and so basically, what's cool is they talk about Chicago in general here, right? Now look at the pictures on the bottom. Okay, you got Julian, Joe Smooth, Mikey Man Wilson, Fascinating Farley in this picture, right? Okay, look at what's highlighted in the yellow because you're talking about Latin clubs. So it says Julian decided to check out um, some house clubs and white house clubs. Okay, so I guess he said some. So that I can't read that, but and white house clubs because if you see everything was kind of segmented back then. See, oh, black. It says black house clubs and white house clubs. This is them speaking from that magazine. And it says, and it says right there, before taking me to the most amazing Latin club I'd ever experienced. If you ever visit Chicago, make sure to check out Club Flamingo and DJ Martin Boogieman Luna. Okay, so it's written, buddy. And on that, when some people question my honor here, because again, everybody didn't watch part one. I urge you to watch part one of this thing here. One of the
Yes,
most
I agree.
proud, one of the most proud articles out there is this one here. This was in it was in a Latin publication. I mean, in a New Music Express out of the UK, London area or so. Okay, now if you
Okay.
look at it right there, okay, look at what it says right there on the top line. That's Sterling Boyd right there, who did It's All Right and Paris Brightlet's thing.
Right, right.
The Chicago, what? Put it back
Right.
there. Oh, you got it on the big screen? Okay. The Chicago still your kind of town. Da da da. It says right there, it says both questions talks to Illinois makers. Who's the first name before Jamie Principal, Mr. Lee, Mike Dunn, and Richard Rogers?
Martin Boogeyman.
Boogeyman. But
Boogeyman, yeah.
I'm just saying in general, I've kept my mouth shut a lot of years. I'm not bleeding. I'm not telling you to heal my wounds here. There's no wounds. I love everybody out there. I mean that. I have no room for hate here. you know, but it's just like a GCI what we were talking about. So I said, let me get back to that real quick. So I had that discussion with GCI, couldn't satisfy the new director. And I said, well, hey, if you want somebody black that has that's really DJing in that urban market, I said, I can recommend a great guy. His name's Mike Dunn. I put Mike Dunn in there. I got him the interview. I walked him right in. Mike took over the show, and Mike, to this day, I thank him for being so honest with me. He's a genuine friend and Mike, you still owe me from Lawrence's shrimp fisheries when I bought you. You said you were going to give me back and buy me some shrimp a pound. Great shrimp out here. But what happens is that Mike calls me after he starts his first week, and he says, "Hey, Boogieman, I just got to tell you something. I don't want you to hear from anybody else." He says, "I didn't ask for anything there when you got me in." He says, "But they gave me a salary of $300 a week. They gave me a key card for the building, and they're buying my tapes. I don't have to pay for reels, but I don't want you to think I went in there trying to ask for things because I know you know people in there." And I'm like, "Nah, that's good, man. That's great, you know." And you know, that's where that went. I put Mike in there, and he kicked butt. And then after that, wow, he ends up being a remixer and gets a studio built from Puff Daddy, you know, P Diddy, you know, a lot of nice things came out of that, you know, but, you know, and Mike earned it, you know, and just saying, you know, once again, give a little precedence there. Look what I found too. Something special about this.
Prime and Tenor, Martin Boogieman, DJ International Records.
Okay, but you know what's really special about this? To this day, Nick don't put any DJ's name on a flyer. I was the only one that got what was that?
Oh yes, you're
What was
absolutely
that
right.
one movie? The movie Notre Dame where they carried him off the field. That's the only time they ever carried a player off the field or whatever.
Yeah.
What was his name? What was that movie?
Friday nights or Friday?
No, Notre Dame, little short guy. They let him play one game. He played like one play. Anyways, that's like I'm very proud of that because Nick never put anybody's name on a flyer.
It's
Thank
true
you, Nick.
because no, it's true because I remember I was making I made him a flyer because I was helping him on a Latin night there, and I remember I put Abel and my name on there, and he's like, no, you can't put the DJ's name on there. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And of course I call Abel, I go, what's up with that? He goes, yeah, dude, he doesn't put anything. I'm like, okay, you know, like,
Hey, check out this nostalgia. That's me at Phoenix, I found.
wow.
Phoenix
Look at that
nightclub.
hair. Look at that hair.
Where are they?
Yep.
Yeah, that was Phoenix nightclub. Yeah, cool stuff there, man. It's like there's another shot to show you how the setup was, everybody. Let me explain something cool to you. Of course, you see the 1200s, right? See the mixer there in the middle?
What
Okay,
kind
that
of
was
mixer?
like that was like a Yuri, I believe. Okay, now over here, you see that? Remember we talked about mixing videos?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you had two separate monitors for each VCR player. So when right down there underneath, right there where I'm tapping, those were the two VCRs. So that's how you ended up mixing videos in between your sets when we were DJing video back then on VHS.
And there was no quick way to do that.
Well, they had little pitch controls. A lot of the
Right.
pro players like the Panasonics and that they had, because at Prime and Tender, which had the same type of setup, except it was one screen and you had to switch for to see what we were going to play next. But you had to hit buttons. And at the Prime and Tender, they actually had the little pitch control. And actually, Nick's brother Pete was actually probably the first video mixer in that area, at least. And he taught me how to use that little pitch control. And they were right on, man. When you hit that play button, like if you're going to play like It Takes Two, for example, and you want to do hit it, you'd keep on hitting the backward button until you hear no hit. And then when you hit it, hit it. You're like right on, man. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it for our show. I'm glad you did part two. I know there was a lot of stories per se. Funny. Just somebody just told me that I say that all the time during the show per se. So thank you for bringing that up. I guess that's
Yeah,
a common thing.
per se.
Per se. So that was Marco Hernandez and Victor Salazar. They're making fun of me now because I
Oh
said that.
man, great,
I
great
caught
man.
myself saying it right now. So,
Yeah,
um,
I can't wait to see everybody out there too, man. I mean, DJ brothers and everybody else, especially the DJs, because these days I only DJ special events and one hitters. I go in and I'm like I'm a hit man. I go in and take an hour and I'm out, But I'm looking forward. I was having really great fun before this lockdown happened. I'm telling you, because I was actually able to go visit everybody finally. So I'm looking forward to that. And everybody who even listens to my Facebook Live every Saturday, yeah, I'm plugging. I go Saturdays at 10 p.m. Sometimes I go to 5 in the morning. My longest show is I lasted 7 hours and 5 minutes without being taken off. That's my longest one.
wow,
Yeah,
wow,
seven
wow,
hours and
that's
five
that's great.
minutes. Yeah, so
Who are you greasing? Who are you greasing?
I'm just telling you, I kind of like I guess right at moments, and it just worked out. Now I'm averaging probably 1 hour and 2 hour sets.
Good for
I
you. Good.
when the baud rate was really bad and everybody's on the internet at the same time, I got knocked off twice at the 9 minute mark, but that was I went right back on and I was on for 2 hours.
Wow, good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you.
So, but outside of that, so I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's so much of these stories. Everybody out there, a lot of you guys and girls out there. I mean, DJs and non DJs, people in the music industry. I wish I could credit everybody at that moment. I'm speaking about something, but uh, there's a lot of history, with all of us, and it's nothing personal. In some cases, it's like some people were around me more than others, and some stories pinpoint on somebody in particular. But even people that I critique, it's all professional. Please understand that I'm just a competitor. It's just like guys in the boxing ring. They have steak and dinner with each other, and they go to Thanksgiving and Christmas to each other's houses. It's just what it is. Not like great competition you know it's just like I'll just say really clear too, like a really good conversation the other day. uh Chaz D came up, and they were like, yeah, you get along with Chaz D anytime still, or I know you guys never got along, right? I said, nah, it wasn't like that. I says, maybe he felt that, maybe, I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you, he inspired me, because when I used to go to the north side, I'm sorry, to the west side, we called, versus our south side, he was like one of the fastest, quickest DJs there. And I always wanted to meet up with him, because I'm like, oh, this is now I'm going to test my skills, and see how I can do and get a reaction. And fortunately, I was able to earn great reactions in his area, and it was always a great competition. I have to think a lot of DJs around us used to say, oh man, Chaz is going to be at the same party Martin's at, or Boogieman, like, and it was on, so I mean, I thank him for inspiring me to, get better every time I went out in your neighborhood. Everybody was great out there in DJs, but once again, everybody had certain skills. He was really quick, because if you remember back then, we used to have to take, some guys used to stack records, and they used to
Yep.
just speed mix. Me, I used to show I didn't have to stack them. I took them out of the sleeve. That's how fast I was. So, so you had to mix 16 in, 16 out, like spin-offs. So
Right, right.
I'm sorry if I'm veering off here, but once again, I just, I guess that just popped up, because we're talking about all kinds of things and other DJs. And I'm just taking it out like I'm going anywhere tomorrow. I plan on living a long life, but I'm a friend to all of you out there. And if anybody ever needs any advice, maybe if we are we going to do this again, Angelo?
Oh, absolutely, we'll do this again.
Well, we'll do a part three, and I'm going to tell you, just like all the DJs that have been around me all my life, I don't think there's one that could tell you I didn't steer them in the right direction. And I'm not saying this is like going to be a class or anything, but I'd be happy to, if you have any questions for the next show, uh, to help you conquer what's going to happen in the future, because it's not going to be easy getting a DJ gig. Uh, I guess on the last
Well,
note,
here, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to tell you, um, I'm going to probably invite you to speak with us. I'm gonna do something different. I already talked to, it's four of us guys that are gonna do a show together. Almost like, I came up with the name, His Truth, Her Truth, and the truth. Yeah, his story about her story and the truth. That's it. That's
Why don't
the
you just call
story.
it truth?
Yeah, I know. Well, and what we're gonna do is
Why you gotta
that
be so complicated per se?
Okay, ta-da-ta. So Al Cisneros, Pablo Punk Out Gonzalez,
No, you
Mario
can't do
Reyes.
Al Cisneros.
Yeah,
No, let me tell you
so-
why. Al, because when I was DJing at the Cuban Fest, kicking butt, thankfully, everybody felt it. I was kicking butt. You got on the stage and you got that mic and you announced me as one of the hosts, as Mario Smoking Diaz, I think it was. And I
so
got it
good.
on tape.
Good.
It's out
Good, good,
there.
good,
So
good.
Al, you don't even know, he don't know what he's talking about. How are you going to invite Al on here? You're going to ask him
He's
about Prime and Tender. He's going to start talking about Studio
no,
54.
he's old. He's old. He's got an excuse. He's old. So Mario,
I love you, Al. You're a good guy, Al. Don't get me wrong, but still.
Mario Reyes and me, what we're going to do is we're gonna do almost
man.
like a,
Hey, man, you got Mario, man?
we're gonna do almost a coffee time. Like we're gonna do it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday.
You
And
and
we're
so
gonna
you and
do,
Mario Diaz or Reyes?
no, Mario Reyes, Pablo
Okay.
Pucker Gonzalez,
See, Mario Reyes
Cisneros.
is a good host. He's because he talks crap like me.
Yeah. So us four are gonna get
But see,
together.
wait a minute. Our crap
and-
is like manure. You got crap and you got manure. You know, manure makes things grow. So that's why we talk crap, not the S word.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically, we have our stories. When we, like, Pablo's never really worked with Al, or Pablo and I work together, Al and I work together, Mario and I work together, but basically what
Hey,
we're gonna
Pablo.
do
So
is
Pablo who?
Punk Out Gonzalez.
You go, okay, here, really quick announcement. When I did this last cleaning out the crates, I found out some reels from my guest mixers. I'm taking bids right now. I got a Pablo guest mix on there from GCI. I still have the reel. I got golly, because I remember that name. Who else? I got a few other DJs, but here's the coolest thing. And I got to throw this in really quick. Don't mind me. We're going overtime. I don't care. I see some guys on there for 2 hours. So
I
we can
don't
try to
worry
run.
about it. We're not,
All
I'm
right.
not, I'm
But
not,
here,
I'm not
let me
worried.
tell you something. So, Bobby D, I paused. That wasn't like bad connection.
That was
Bobby D, love you, little bro. But let me tell you, I'm still upset to this day. Not like to stab you with a knife in the leg, just upset. Let me tell everybody out there, I still got 2 of Bobby D's original reel-to-reels on GCI, and they're in great condition. I ended up bringing him on there, and he asked me to bring on Russ Harris, Rusty, with him after I got him on. Let me tell you the little story, everybody. So Bobby comes out on this, which is another story because they stole my name, the Mixmaster Stroll Down. They know my name's Mixmasters, just like when the B96 guys called themselves the B96 Mixmasters. Come on, Julian and everybody. You know that's my name. We worked at the same record label. I'm all over Chicago. I DJ at more clubs than all you guys put together. And all of a sudden, B96 Mixmasters. Really? So that was another story. I went after the radio station. They'd made them change that and went to master mixers. But I'll leave that alone for now. But here's what happens. So Bobby does this little, they give everybody the little article on that Mixmaster Throwdown because they all did a mix on there. And he gives credit to Julian for putting them on the radio. Bobby, I'm going to drink a shot with you on this later. I don't have any problem with you. I love you. Remember that. But I told him, well, maybe 12 years ago, I had this tape and I wasn't going to give it to him. I'm still not. So I changed my mind because of these reels, because he put in there, I started here, and thanks to Julian and B96. No, you came to me at GCI because they wouldn't put you on B96. You said you had this mix all ready to go, but you had the mix all ready to go, but you changed the drops and stuff because you know, it took you a little work, but you were able to change it up, and you urged me to listen to it because it's, you know, you took all the stuff out that would have coordinated with them at B96. I put him on the radio. He was my featured guest mixer because I really respected his edit work was awesome, you know. And next thing you know, he puts that article out thanking B96 and everybody over there and Julian for giving him a start. No, I gave you your start. Okay. And I got the proof because I got the real to real, just like a lot of DJs out there, man. I took you under my wing, everybody. And I still will do it again. And don't ever forget, I'm the nice guy. And that's why my motto is stay in the mix. And I mean that. I've always supported
So,
everybody out
so,
there. And that's what I got to say there.
so that sounds like his side, her side, and the truth. Yeah,
Man, the
there you
truth
go.
is, I could prove it. I could prove it because I got the real here. That's the
There
cool
you
thing.
go.
You know, it's like, so every time you speak this truth, but forget that his and her truth. What are you gonna do? Like LGBTQ truth too? Just do truth, dude. Come on, seriously.
And like I said, that's what kind of the concept per se. We're doing that's what
Per
we
se.
made up.
Why don't you call
There
it
you
per
go.
se? Angelo presents per se. Oh boy.
But that's
Hey,
it. That's
real quick, man. Anybody out there, if they got the S9000 or whatever it's called, the sample, the unit to play these discs in them for samples, I got a Daryl Pandy drop on here and some other stuff. I need to find it. CZR was going to hook me up a while ago, but he ended up, I think, selling the unit. I would really like for you to email me because I got some stuff on here I'd like to get off of here. I got actually my GCI dropped some back then, and Daryl Pandy did some stuff for me on there. And you know, and I don't know if you know, but Daryl Pandy went to high school with me.
oh really?
Yeah, we went to the same high school, Bowen High School, and James H. Bowen High School over there on 87th and Exchange, or yeah, or is it?
Yeah,
Escanaba?
yeah.
Yeah,
I went to De La Salle.
yeah. Well, let me tell you this. Well, CVS was right across the bridge. You know, it
Yeah.
still is. But here's a really cool thing about Daryl. We got along till, you know, rest in peace day came. He actually, it's sad and it's also an awesome ending. Here's what happens. We had talent shows there, and Daryl used to be the guy that came up and did gospel, which he ended up doing lots of gospel songs,
Right.
and got involved with the churches before his death. And he used to go up there with the same blue suit 2 years in a row, white shirt, and a really thin black tie. Remember the thin black ties back then? And he used to sing gospel. And jerks in the audience would throw paper balls at him and boo him. Because the other stuff was they used to do different acts, girls, dancing crews, stuff like that. And I remember we didn't do that because I told you I was raised with bands, you know, in the area. So we respected real singers. And so, yeah, I mean, you know, that we went to school together. Daryl Pandy, Love Can't Turn Around, you know, he went to Bowen, and, you know, I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of good history in South Chicago, man. But other than that, I just want to throw that in. I guess I'm just thinking out loud, guys. Sorry about that. And for Victor and everybody out there that has shared beverages with me, I'm sure you know this is me. So, you know, good times with all of us.
Oh, I know.
Good times with all of us out there.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for showing up to Alhambra on Tuesday. Thank you for, you know, I put you on the guest list, you know.
Yeah, next time,
thank you for-
Angelo, we got to talk about the New York experience because it was a really big deal for Chicago in the hip house era. It really was.
Okay, all right.
Really good stuff about New York when I was DJing back and forth, and they flew me back and forth out of there. It was a really big time for us in Chicago. Cool days.
Maybe we can convince Benji Espinosa to actually get on the computer and be part of that as well.
Yeah, we'll get Benji in there. You know, I've seen him recently, so you know, I mean, he's got my records that I decided not to keep, and he's handling those. So anybody looking for some extra, you know, maybe stuff you don't got, Benji's got all my stuff. Espinosa, you find him on Facebook, Benji Espinosa, and yeah, Benji will be around for it. He'll be in the mix.
Right.
Don't steal that name for your show.
In
In the mix.
In the mix. Okay. I'll talk to you later then. Thank you.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.